Right, live at 5. Hopefully we're live. I think it is actually 5 for once. We're about on time. About. Right, welcome back to Robertson Co. Welcome back to London, another live jewellery making session. Now, I would like to say we're back annealing our silver ingots, but if you've watched the live streams from the past few days, I was annealing gold and silver ingots. The gold one came out fine. I melted some gold a few live streams ago and made this piece of 1mm 9 carat yellow gold wire. Beautiful. I made some into 0.8mm wire as well, which I needed to make some components out of earlier, but that is the gold wire, the gold ingot turned into wire done. That just needs to be made into rings. The silver ones, however, something went wrong with them. I don't really know what. I was getting some weird porosity. Like when I was annealing them, they were sort of spewing out oxides. It was really bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. The only thing, and also when I was putting them through the rolling mill, it was like rolling out, to say it was squeezing out a sponge, a bit of an exaggeration, but I was getting beads of water on them all the way along. Right? So I'd anneal it, go to roll it, and you'd get these little beads of water, which is obviously not good for the rolling mill for one. But there was no visible porosity. Like on these ingots here, you can see on the surface, at least there's some sort of porosity, but that is just the surface. But yeah, I don't know what went wrong with them. Unless, the only thing I can think of, unless there's something in this metal, because some of it was melted down sheet from the bullion dealer, unless there's silicone or something, because they were the way they were cast originally. Because whatever was, I've never seen it before, but you know, I've melted old castings before which was originally grain with silicone in it, and it just cracks. It didn't crack. It really was like there was some sort of porosity on what would be the corners where I hadn't peened it. I just don't know. But anyway, it wasn't cracking. It was looking okay, but there was just these black spots on it. I just didn't think it was going to, even if I got to the point where I could make it into D-shaped wire, I just didn't think it was going to make particularly good jewellery. So I just sort of cut my losses and go again. So I melted them all down and poured these. These were air cooled and they've been in the pickle, but you can see there's still some flux. I used quite a lot of borax with these in the crucible. You can see there's loads of oxide in that crucible because I put loads of borax in with each one, hopefully to, if it was some dirt or impurities, just to clean it a lot. So I put a good sprinkle of borax in with each melt. And the larger one of these looks a bit, I don't know whether I got it quite hot enough, it looks a bit iffy. But I'm not too worried. If it does need remelting, I'll remelt it. Again, I think, is that the black spots there? No, that is actual porosity, I think. Whatever it is, even if it happens again, I'm pretty confident that whatever that was, whether it was just some technicality with the way I poured it before and put maybe there was something weird with the gas. Or whether there's just some impurities, I'm pretty sure if I keep going, melting and using enough flux, whatever the impurities are will burn off in there. But I need to anneal these because I need to anneal them before I paint them, so that's what I want to do now. I think I'll probably get away with just using the little torch on these, but I might need to fire at the micro roller, we'll find out. But yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to anneal these and quench them in the water. Actually, I can probably do 2 of these at a time. Yeah, actually, maybe I will use the 2 torches because then I can do 2 at a time. Let me fire up the micro roller. Plug it in. The oxygen on earlier. Not enough plugs. But yeah, it does happen. Like, it's quite frustrating when you have to melt things down. But I've learned the longer you leave it, the more frustrating it becomes. So I've done quite a lot of work to these ingots before, but you know, there is sort of a sunk, you kind of get this sunk cost mentality where you just keep throwing off time, where it's really just sinking more and more time into them. Whereas the outcome is going to be, regardless of how long you persevere, is probably going to be if not melting all of it, melting a lot of it back down, because it just looked like there was going to be too much unusable metal. I mean, really, any amount of unusable metal is too much, but the thing that's really frustrating about it is there's so little information available once you get to this sort of level of jewellery making where you're hand pouring ingots and turning it into wire and sheet. There really isn't, and there's a lot of people doing it. You know, it's not like there's a shortage of people having a go, but there's just very little literature. The books, any books that are out there, they sort of skim this bit. Like the sort of further down the supply chain you get, as you know, like setting the stones in the finished pieces of metal, there's loads of information out. There's entire schools, but there is not entire schools about how to actually make the metal. You know, like they buy the metal from the bullion dealer and then they stick the stones in it. Let's just see if we're getting any of that black. No, none. Which is a good thing. But yeah, what was happening when I get to this sort of stage of the annealing, like when the metal was getting this hot, I was getting like an oxide. That's kind of what I thought it was there, but it's the flux, it's the actual flux from the melt. I was getting like a black oxide, sort of almost looked like it was being extruded out of the wire. But it was only in certain places, it wasn't the whole piece of it. Never seen anything like it. Right, let's just let those cool down. So I want to quench them, but not while they're red hot. Yeah, no black oxide spewing out of it just yet. I'm pretty confident though that's not silicon from you know, casting grain, but you never know. Some black lead. Then again, that looks like flux. Right, in the pickle. That blackness on the back of that one. Was it that one? No, it wasn't that one. It's the other one. Yeah, it's just flux. It's almost like rust, which I've seen before. But yeah, whatever was in that, it took a lot of oxides out of the melts. All that redness. Which again, like, what is like iron oxide? Right, next one. Yeah, this large one looks particularly dodgy, but you never know. The ones I've just re-melted looked absolutely fine. When I say particularly dodgy, it's got like a crystalline structure on the top. Yeah, they look pretty good. See the importance of lighting, can't you? When you're doing this. If the lighting is too bright for annealing or for soldering, you just melt things. There is a little mark there actually. And that large one, there's see there's yeah, there's some bits, some there's some marks appearing on that larger one. I don't know whether they're, oh, one of them sort of staining around the old flux, the old borax flux. We'll find out. Let's just let that reduce a bit in temperature. Probably quench it. And the other thing I could even try is annealing them with flux. You know, annealing them with borax, because you can see where the borax, the remains of it, are kind of staining the surface of that green. Yeah, that needs to cool down a touch before we quench it. But I don't want to quench it, it's red on. Right, that is annealing silver. They need to pickle for a while. I'm then gonna, when the redness of that cools down a bit, that will then quench, and then there you can see. It almost looks like there's sort of like a layer of fog up here. Right, that's going to quench now, and then pickle, and then tomorrow I'm going to commence cleaning. I want to do these a lot, way more than I did the ones before. What I really want is I want the corners of the, I want to get them so that the corners of the ingot are meeting like that, so that even, because where the cracks and the porosity tends to be the worst is along that hexagonal, it's octagonal when they go through the rolling mills, but it's almost like at that, in the crease is where it's worse, which I think is because quite often there's a sort of rounded off edge and it doesn't quite get peened. Doesn't like, yeah, that's what I need to focus on. Right, thanks for watching. That is annealing silver ingots. See you next one. Doodles.